Hey, welcome back to my channel. My name is Debbie. I am the She in Sheality TV, and today I want to talk about 90 Day the Single Life. A little bit of everybody today. Okay, if you're new here, welcome. And if you're not new here, welcome back. I'm really happy to have you. Today I want to talk about 90 Day the Single Life. Like I said before, I want to talk a little bit about everybody. But we're going to start with, who should we start with? Let's start with Molly. It's the simplest. Okay, so Molly, remember in 90 Day Fiance, Molly was married to Luis, which was, we all knew was a dumpster fire. Anyway, she's met this new guy named Kelly. He's from New York. And she lives in, I believe she lives in Georgia. Anyway, he came to visit her in New York. And when he left, she went digging around to find out, you know, if he had any skeletons in his closet or whatever. And she found one of his ex-girlfriend's Instagram account. And on that account, she found that the ex-girlfriend has a child. The child is 8. And Kelly and the ex-girlfriend broke up about 8 years ago. So, yeah, so she thinks that the kid is Kelly's because she also thinks that the child looks like Kelly. So she confronts him with that. He looks at the picture and he tells her that the child is not his. Okay, now, and she says, "Are you sure? Like, look at the kid." And Kelly's like, "No, it's not my child. It's not his child because he has already spoken with the ex way back in the day. They already had the conversation and the ex told him that it's not his kid." So that's that. That's squashed. We're done with Kelly and Molly. Next, let's talk about Colt and Vanessa. Now, I'm going to say this right off the top. My two favorite cast members in this show are Colt's new girlfriend, Vanessa. Even though she is the one he cheated on Jess with, I still like her. She's probably one of the few cast members in this show who actually has a spine. But yeah, Vanessa and Ed's daughter, I think her name is Melissa. Anyways, I'll get to her in a second. So Colt and Vanessa are, he just asked her to be his girlfriend, and she said yes, but she has reservations because karma's coming back to bite you. She doesn't trust him because he cheated on Jess with her, Vanessa. So because she knows that he's a cheat, because she helped him cheat, she doesn't trust him, which is a problem. Colt also has an issue, we'll call it an issue, or yeah, I can't think of a better word, we'll call it an issue. He has an issue with the fact that he wants sex all the time. And Vanessa is like, yeah, nah, dude, it's got to be about more than the sex. Like, he wants it all the time. And she's like, no, I don't want it all the time. Like, just no. So he plans this big date. They go up to Big Bear. And on the drive, Vanessa just basically says, okay, let me back up a second. Colt is planning to ask Vanessa to marry him. Like, this dude is king of jumping the gun because they just agreed to be a couple, if that's what people do anymore now. Like, I don't know, it's been so long for me, I just don't date. But anyway, they just agreed to be a couple and he's already whipping out the engagement ring. So on the drive up to Big Bear, he like subtly they pass a car with a couple in it that says just married. And so they get on the subject of marriage, and he asks her, would she want to be married again? And she said, well, you know, if the person was right and the relationship was right or whatever, but their relationship is just wrong. Okay? There is nothing right about this relationship. It started off wrong, and I don't think it'll last personally, but Vanessa essentially tells him that, you know what, if you need sex 20 times a day and I'm not willing to give it to you 20 times a day, then you need to go find someone who's willing to give you that 20 times a day. I want you to be happy, and if that's not with me, then you need to go find that person. And that is probably the most sensible thing I've heard anyone on this show say ever. Ever. She was like, you know what, dude, if I'm not it, go. Bye. Perfect. So they go up to Big Bear and they get this like medieval, they're in this medieval type hotel that has costumes and whatever. They get to their room and they decide to dress up, and they're sitting on the bed and they don't do anything. They don't do anything. Colt, it feels like Colt was trying to turn the tables on her, like just to say, you know what, well, I don't really need it. Like, you know, like he didn't want to be intimate with her at that moment. And she was kind of like, well, we can do it. And I'm thinking, oh, Lord, girl, I thought you had sense. I thought you had sense. If he says, well, I don't really need it, perfect. Good night. You know what I mean? I don't know. Anyways, that trip ends there, or that segment ends there. Let's talk about Brittany. Remember Brittany? She was, I don't even want to call it dating, because she fell for Yazan, who is Muslim, and they had a whole bunch of issues. But anyway, now she's on the single life, and she is dating, okay, so she was dating two guys, right? She was dating one guy who lives in Toronto, in Canada, and he came to visit her, but while he was visiting her, she totally ghosted the second guy, okay? The thing with the first guy didn't work out, so she decided that she was going to call the first guy. So he comes running to visit her, but her mother is also in town to take care of her, because remember, she did something to her collarbone or shoulder or whatever while they were riding quads. The thing flipped and she fell off. Anyway, so her mom is there, and when her date gets there, the second guy that she ghosted for 2 weeks, when he gets to her place, mom opens the door. And of course, mom lets some shit out of the bag. Like, mom lets it out of the bag that Brittany was married before, and Brittany didn't tell this guy that. Now, I don't feel like you need to tell someone everything about you on the first date. I just don't. And so when he confronts her about it, she says, you know what? That was a really hard time for me, and I'm just not comfortable telling everybody before I know that I can trust them, which is fair. So anyways, they go back to his Airbnb and they do whatever, blah, 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 turn off the lights, and that's the end of that. But Brittany and her family and her friends are all talking about how Yazan broke her heart and how he did all this stuff. But it's like, bitch, you were still married when you were with him, no? For part of the time. And you didn't tell him, and you were afraid to tell him. And you stalled and put him off until his mom figured out that something was wrong. So you can't say that whatever skidded into the ditch with Yazan was all about Yazan. You should have known that they would want you to convert, like to convert to his religion, because that's a no-brainer. Doesn't everybody know that? Does not everyone know that at least the expectation is that when you marry someone who is of a strict religion like that one, that you will convert if you marry someone who is a part of that religion? Wouldn't that make sense? That made sense to me, so I don't know how it came as such a big shock to her at all. Anyways, let's move on. Let's talk about Big Ed and Liz. Lord Jesus, have mercy. Okay. Ed and Liz go to Vegas to introduce Liz to his daughter. Okay? We all know from what his daughter felt about Ed and Rose, I'm getting all my characters all mixed up here, Ed and Rose, that she probably won't be happy about Liz, okay? And to those who say, well, it's not the daughter's business, why is she trying to run her dad's life? Listen, if my dad was trying to date someone who was half my age, I would have a problem. And to her credit, Ed's daughter says, if I was trying to date a man who was my dad's age or older than my dad, he would lose his shit. So, you know what? Liz is someone's daughter. And so, Ed, he's completely out of his element. Completely. But anyway, the daughter meets Liz, and of course, she doesn't like it. She's not that she doesn't like Liz, but she's just like, what are you doing? Why are you trying to marry? Why are you trying to be with this girl? Why? Like, did you not learn from the whole Rose fiasco? That skidded into the ditch and you jumped right into this one. His daughter is 31 and Liz is 28. Anyways, it's very uneventful. The daughter, or Liz, goes to the bathroom and the daughter, like, essentially says that to Ed, like, what are you doing? Like, did you not learn from the whole Rose thing? This is going to be a mess. So anyways, that is really anticlimactic. But I am going to publicly take issue with how TLC or Discovery Plus or whoever edits this show, because last week they showed a clip where Ed is going to ask Liz to move in with him. And that did not happen this week. This week, they're showing a clip for next week that Ed is talking to a friend, and he tells the friend that he introduced Liz to his daughter, and the next morning, she was gone. So he says,
I introduced her to my daughter, and the next morning, she was gone. She left me.
And not to say that I almost cheered, jumped out of my couch, did back handsprings, and thought, okay, maybe she does have a brain, or maybe she just thought, no kind of camera time is worth this. None. I still can't understand it. I will never understand it. Like, looking at them together, I just think, ew. And to those of you who are going to say,
looks aren't everything.
Like I said before, you have to be at least some type of physically attraction to the person that you're with, or it will not work. That's not to say that that's all there is, but if you are not at all physically attracted to the person that you're with or going to be with, yeah, you're in a fantasy. You're living in a fantasy. It's not going to last. I am also going to tell you that if you watch the Discovery Plus version of this show, I'm not sure about the others, but of 90 Day the Single Life, if you watch the Discovery Plus version, it is completely uncensored. So you hear all the F-bombs and all the shits and all of that other stuff. So if you're sensitive to that, watch the TLC version. Anywho's, that's all I've got for 90 Day the Single Life. My name is Debbie. This is Shiality TV. I will see you next time. Peace.